My fiancé had been distant to me for 3 whole years. At a rare, extravagant banquet among the wealthy elite of Hong Kong, he publicly proposed to his first love. After that, I still posted a sweet status on my friend's circle. I'm getting married soon. Late that night, he called. His voice was slow, every word pressed out clearly. Ava Zhang, I never said I would marry you. I let out a soft laugh, my tone calm. And I never said you were the groom. A few days later, a series of photos spread all over social media, shaking the entire city. The most powerful man in Hong Kong opened his arms as I rushed into them, even lowering his head so I could kiss him. When I finished changing into my dress and stood up, the makeup artist couldn't help whispering, "Miss Jiang, this gown suits you so well. It's breathtaking." I smiled and thanked her. As soon as I pushed the door open and stepped outside, the floor below had already erupted in commotion. From the lavish golden revolving door, my fiancé of 3 years, Ethan Chu, walked in openly with a young, beautiful woman on his arm. Even more ridiculous, the dress she wore was identical to mine. Tonight was a rare banquet, one not seen in decades among Hong Kong's upper class. Everyone here stood at the top of the social pyramid, their gazes sharp and discerning. With just one glance, they could tell my gown was merely a grade A knockoff. In my 21 years, this was the first time I had ever dressed up so extravagantly, only to find that I was nothing but a well-made clown. "Ethan, is that the girl next to you?" Someone nosy finally spoke. Ethan tightened his grip on the woman's hand and replied casually, "My girlfriend, Kara Tan. But after tonight, she'll be my fiancée." "Then what about Miss Jiang?" Ethan looked at me coldly. "The engagement between me and the Jiang family has been cancelled. For the past 3 years, the Chu family has already done more than enough for them." He wasn't wrong. Without the 100 million in betrothal money from back when the engagement was made, the Jiang family would have gone bankrupt long ago. My parents and siblings were only able to live in luxury until today, because of that money. Ethan went down on one knee, pulled out a diamond ring, and proposed to Kara. She cried like pear blossoms in the rain and threw herself into his arms. Ethan gently wiped her tears, comforting her and kissing her in front of everyone. I watched Kara, surrounded by status-hungry socialites and wealthy wives chatting excitedly with her. Starting tonight, she would no longer be a third-rate actress or the homewrecker everyone pointed fingers at. As for me, Ava Zhang, from now on in Hong Kong, the Zhang family would likely have no place left. "Could you move aside a little?" A voice sounded behind me. I turned to see 2 high-born young ladies holding desserts, looking at me with clear annoyance. I stepped aside. "Her dress is ridiculously ugly." "Right. A knockoff like that, who knows what fabric it's made from? She'll get a rash for sure. And she still has the nerve to stand here. Embarrassing." I quietly walked toward the lounge area, pretending I hadn't heard any of those venomous words. Suddenly, my phone rang. I answered it. My mother's furious voice burst out. "Ava Zhang, the Chu family wants to cancel the engagement, and they're demanding 50 million of the betrothal money back. 3 years and you still couldn't keep a man's heart? Useless. Figure out a way to return that 50 million yourself. The Jiang family won't spend a single cent." Staring at the ended call, I felt my chest tighten so much I could hardly breathe. All the dazzling lights and glamorous gowns here no longer had anything to do with me. I just wanted to leave this place as quickly as possible. I heard Mr. Trent returned to Hong Kong yesterday. Tonight, he would be attending the banquet as well. That couldn't be possible. Mr. Trent had never shown up at events like this. That was true. The last time he appeared in public was on the national evening news. My chest tightened again, sharp pain pulsing through my heart. I reached into my purse to get my medication. The sound of fabric rustling made the 2 women nearby pause their conversation before gradually walking away. The heartache started constricting. The tight gown pressing against my chest made it almost impossible to breathe. I could no longer search for the medicine. I tried to undo the hidden clasp at the back of my dress to breathe more easily, but no matter how many times I tried, it wouldn't budge. Earlier today, Mrs. Jiang had sent someone to redo my nails, delicate and beautifully crafted. Yet in this moment of crisis, they were nothing but deadly obstacles. I tilted my head back, gasping for air. My long hair fell over the wooden deck. My lips were already turning pale. Not far from here, the banquet had just begun. My former fiancé and his new lover were probably dancing to applause under the glittering lights. And I might very well die quietly on this calm ship deck. "Mr. Trent, would you like to head inside now?" someone asked. Trent Tyndall didn't answer, only reached out to take a cigarette case from his assistant. He drew out a pale gray cigarette and tapped it lightly against the surface of a small pressed powder box. Not lighting it yet, he brushed the tip gently across the brown wine-toned powder before flicking it. Only then did he signal for his assistant to quickly hand him a lighter. Trent lit the cigarette and walked toward the ship's railing. "The wind is strong tonight, sir. Please be careful." Everyone around him knew better than to linger. This time, returning to Hong Kong, Trent was determined to rise even higher. From this point on, his word would be absolute here. The organizers had pleaded endlessly just to persuade him to attend the banquet tonight. In truth, he had no interest in coming, but the moment he returned home, the elders of the family had pressured him about marriage until his head ached. So he took the chance to escape by coming here. Yet he had barely smoked half the cigarette when he noticed a slender silhouette in the distance. Trent paused, extinguished the cigarette, and was about to turn away when he heard a dull, heavy sound against the deck. He turned his head slowly. Under the dim moonlight, the girl collapsed like a wilted flower, yet heartbreakingly beautiful. My face must have been as pale as a ghost. The faint moonlight washed over my features, once pretty, but now twisted in pain. I looked at the unfamiliar man before me as if he were a lifeline. My hand clutched his sleeve tightly. Instinct for survival gave me strength I'd never known. I even pulled his arm against my chest as I struggled for breath, my heart pounding chaotically. He shot me a glance, seeming to understand something. Without warning, he knelt down on one knee. His long fingers wrapped around my wrist, and his deep, cool voice sounded, "Where's the zipper?" It wasn't until his heavy suit jacket, still carrying his warmth, was draped over my shoulders that I snapped back from the daze. I bit my lip, gathered myself, then looked up with my face burning. "Thank you." "Can you stand?" he asked. I nodded weakly. With one hand gripping the lapel of his jacket and the other holding the railing, I forced myself to my feet. "Do you need me to call your family or friends?" I shook my head immediately. "No, it's fine. I just need to rest for a moment." His phone suddenly rang. I watched him step aside to take the call. "I told you, I'll handle the marriage issue myself. Don't worry, I won't let Grandpa leave this world with regrets." His voice was firm, edged with irritation, followed by the sound of a lighter flicking open. The small flame illuminated his sharp features, and for a moment he looked strangely familiar to me. Just then, he turned around. Our eyes met. Startled, I quickly lowered my gaze. He ended the call and walked back toward me, the smell of smoke still lingering. It made me uncomfortable, and I coughed a few times. "Sorry," he said politely as he put out the cigarette, then pointed to the suit jacket on my shoulders. "You can just give the jacket to one of the attendants." My face flushed instantly. I nodded slightly, mumbling, "Okay." His gaze dropped to my hands. I was gripping the lapel of his jacket tightly. Underneath, the bodice of my tight dress had come undone, leaving only a pair of silicone covers pressed directly against the fine lining of his suit jacket, something hazy and intimate that only I could feel. I instinctively bent forward a little, embarrassed to the point I didn't know where to hide my face. Just as he turned to leave, I bit my lip and spoke, my voice barely above a whisper. I heard your phone call earlier. Could I make a deal with you?" Mustering all my courage, I looked up at him. "You might need a wife who won't cause trouble and can disappear whenever you want, and I need 50 million to buy myself whatever freedom I have left." "A deal?" His voice carried a faint, amused tone. "Miss Jiang, what kind of deal are you offering me?" I was so tense I didn't notice how he already knew my name. "Aren't you in need of a wife?" I forced myself to meet his eyes. "I won't bother you. I'll cooperate with whatever you need. And if one day you don't need me anymore, I'll never cling to you." He stood there under the moonlight, wearing a silver-gray dress shirt and tailored black slacks. His lean frame held a cold, cutting presence. My eyes landed on the watch on his wrist. Just that piece alone could probably buy the entire yacht. "What do you want?" he asked. I felt a wave of shame and answered softly, I need 50 million. What for? He asked. I lowered my gaze, unable to look at him directly. But standing before a complete stranger, I suddenly felt like I could spill all my misery and weakness. My fiancé wants to break off the engagement, and he's demanding half the betrothal money back. 50 million. I don't have it. Being dumped? He suddenly turned his head toward me, his eyes sharp like a blade. Yes, I said with a hollow laugh, lifting my chin as the sea wind whipped my hair back. I stared into the dark horizon. I've run out of options, sir. I accept your deal, he said, but I have one condition. I blinked in disbelief. What did you say? In 3 days we register our marriage. What, that fast? He raised a brow slightly. You heard my call. My grandfather's health isn't good. He wants to see his granddaughter-in-law enter the family as soon as possible. When he finished, he looked at me again. Is that inconvenient for you? I shook my head so fast I almost swayed. No, not at all. It works. It's fine. Good. Then it settled. The sea breeze grew stronger, whipping my hair into a tangled mess that slapped against my face. He suddenly stepped closer and gently swept the messy strands aside, tucking them behind my ear. The day after tomorrow, I'll send someone to pick you up. But, how will you know where I live? He didn't answer. As he withdrew his hand, his fingers seemed to brush lightly across my cheek, or maybe it was just my imagination. He walked away long before the daze lifted from me. I felt as though I were sinking into something unreal, dreamlike. That lasted until Ethan Chu, drunk and unsteady, stumbled toward me and clamped his hand around my wrist. Ava Jiang, he slurred, for the past 3 years I've been waiting for you to beg me. If you had acted soft, like other women, forget 100 million, I'd give your family 1 billion. You're drunk, Ethan. I tried to push him away, but a drunken man was not easy to escape from. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared at me, then glanced at the jacket around my shoulders. Whose clothes are you wearing? It has nothing to do with you, Ethan. Nothing. His handsome face twisted with fury. Ava Jiang, I need to see which bastard dared to lay a hand on Ethan Chu's woman. He yanked hard at the jacket I was wearing. I tried to hold on to it, but it was useless. The sea wind roared beneath the moonlight. A flash of pale skin appeared, making Ethan Chu mutter my name in stunned confusion. The next second, a piercing scream erupted. Ava Jiang, you have no shame. Oh my God, she actually stripped to seduce someone else's fiancé. Mr. Chu, look, she's really desperate. Karatan, see it? She's beating you in ways you can't compete. I snapped back to consciousness, hurriedly pulling the jacket over my chest, but Kara had already rushed forward in tears, raising her hand to slap me. What are you doing? A deep male voice rang out, calm but commanding. Kara froze, then was pulled aside by Ethan. I stumbled 1 step back and raised both hands to cover my chest. The crowd turned toward the voice. Someone gasped, It's Mr. Trent. Mr. Trent who? Who else? Trent Tyndall. My eyes widened as I looked past the crowd. Trent Tyndall was standing there. Mortification washed over me. I wanted to hit my head against a wall and die on the spot. Yet he simply bent down, picked up the fallen silicone cover, folded it neatly, and slipped it into his pocket. Then he gently reassured me, It's dirty now. You can't use it again. I'll have someone bring you clean clothes later. My face burned so hot, I thought it might burst into flames. I managed a small, faint, okay. Let's go. Trent took my hand. The hallway wasn't long, and soon we reached a lounge room. He led me inside, then left to attend to something urgent. I sat quietly for a long time before finally calming down. Only then did it slowly hit me. At first, he called me Miss Jiang, but later he said my full name, Ava Jiang. He knew who I was. A moment later, his female assistant returned with clean clothes. I showered, changed, and carefully folded Trent Tyndall's jacket, planning to have it dry cleaned and return it later. Mr. Trent said if Miss Jiang wants to go home, I should escort you personally. She said. She looked to be in her mid-30s, her hair tied neatly in a professional knot. I'm troubling you, aren't I? And, could you please tell Mr. Trent that I'll take the jacket home to have it cleaned before returning it? She shook her head politely. No need for that. Just hand it to me. I didn't insist. As I passed her the bag, I asked softly, as if casually, How did Mr. Trent know my name? She only smiled and said, That's Mr. Trent's personal matter. I'm not at liberty to say. As I stepped off the yacht, a message from an unknown number appeared on my phone. Ava Jan, this is Trent Tyndall. Save my number. I stared at the words for a moment before replying softly. Okay. Saved. A moment later, another text came. The day after tomorrow, I'll come pick you up. Rest well these next 2 days. I responded with a single word. All right. He didn't text anything else. By the time I returned to the Jiang residence, it was already late at night, but no one had gone to bed. The house was brightly lit, the atmosphere suffocatingly heavy. The moment I stepped inside, my mother stood up. Ava Jiang, have you thought about what to do? What did you do to make young Master Chu so angry he wants to break off the engagement? That's right, Ava, my aunt snapped. You know our entire family depends on our business relationship with the Chu family. Where are we supposed to find 50 million now? Another relative demanded. Your sister-in-law is about to give birth to her third child. Are you trying to destroy the whole family? Everyone took turns attacking me. Why couldn't I hold on to Ethan Chu's heart? Why couldn't I marry into the Chu family smoothly, so they could keep leeching off me in comfort? In the past, just because they pitied their fragile eldest daughter, they threw me, the sickly youngest child, into this engagement. Did they ever ask whether I wanted it? The 100 million betrothal gift the Chu family gave was used to patch their business debts and maintain their luxurious lifestyle. Did I ever get to enjoy a single cent of it? Now that the Chu family wanted to cancel the engagement, my family refused to take out even, yet they still expected me to shoulder everything alone. Fine, I would shoulder it, but once it was over, I would no longer be part of the Jiang family. Ava, say something. My sister-in-law complained as she stood up and pushed me lightly. I spoke calmly. I already have a way to get the 50 million. Really? My mother's eyes lit up instantly. But, I added softly, it may damage the Jiang family's reputation. What do you mean? She demanded. I gave a faint smile. Tonight at the banquet, I met a businessman from the Philippines. After hearing about my situation, he agreed to pay the 50 million for me. But he already has a wife and children, so I can only become his mistress. I truly have no other choice, and once the two of us appear together in public, that relationship won't be something we can hide. How can you do something so shameless? Exactly. Our Zhang family is a prestigious lineage. Our ancestors were scholars and officials. If you become someone's mistress, generations of honor will be ruined. I frowned slightly, my voice still even. So what do you suggest? Sell off part of the family assets? Collect 50 million yourselves and pay the Chu family? The room immediately fell into absolute silence. No one dared to utter a word. Then my father, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. The money must be repaid. The Zhang family's honor cannot be lost. I let out a cold laugh. Then just sever ties with me completely. My pregnant sister-in-law muttered mockingly, Good, you should have known your place from the start. Finally, my father slammed the table. The Jiang family will issue a public statement disowning you. But only for show. We're still your family. We won't abandon you. Of course I knew that was nothing but a farce, something for me to hear. The moment the money was handed over to the Chu family, they would throw me out without mercy. But little did they know. That was exactly what I wanted. The next morning at exactly 9 o'clock, I received a call from Trent Tyndall. Ava Jiang. Check your messages. The money should be in already. I quickly unlocked my phone. Sure enough, 10 minutes earlier, my account had shown a large incoming transfer. I received it. Today, go settle the annulment. I'll send a driver to pick you up. Mr. Tyndall, can I ask you a favor? Go ahead. For now, please don't let anyone know about our upcoming marriage. I don't want the Jiang family, that leeches starving for money, to latch on to you and cause trouble. You don't want anyone to know? Not that you don't want it to happen, he asked. Just temporarily, please? All right, I'll send someone else to pick you up. As long as the 50 million had been transferred to Ethan Chu's account, and the Jiang family publicly announced they were cutting ties with me, then from that moment on, whether Trent Tyndall married me openly or secretly, I would cooperate with him fully. Because once the bloodline connection was severed, the Jiang family would no longer have any hold on him. After transferring the money to Ethan, I took a photo of the payment receipt for proof. Just then my phone rang. It was him calling. I was staring at the newspaper lying next to me, displaying the short announcement. The Jiang family officially declares the severance of ties with Ava Jiang. I read every word carefully, over and over, then took a picture of the statement and folded the newspaper to keep it safe. Ethan Chu's voice was hoarse on the phone. Ava Jiang, where did you get that money? 50 million isn't a small sum. The Jiang family can't afford it. Who gave you the money? Tell me clearly. That has nothing to do with you. You've received the money. That means from now on, there is no connection between us anymore. I was about to hang up when he suddenly called out urgently, Ava Jiang, you think I only cared about 50 million? Whatever it is, I said quietly, it's no longer my concern. Ava Jiang, you should know if I don't agree, no man in Hong Kong will dare marry you. I let out a soft laugh into the phone. Really? If you don't believe me, just wait and see. I didn't want to waste another word on him, so I hung up immediately. The moment the call ended, my phone rang again. I was about to block the number, but then I saw the familiar name. Trent Tyndall. The Jiang family wants to sever ties with you, he said. How did you know? I froze for a second. News really did travel fast around Trent Tyndall. Ava Jiang. Yes? If you're upset, don't force yourself to hold it in, be honest. At first, I hadn't felt like crying at all. I'd grown numb to this kind of thing since I was young. I'm not upset, but when someone shows you concern, it becomes easier to fall apart. So when I opened my mouth again, my voice was already trembling. Ava Jiang, he murmured gently. You can cry in front of me. After all, starting tomorrow, I'll be your husband. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Tears fell on their own. But before you become my husband, I whispered softly, I already gave you another identity. What identity? He asked. My voice was tiny. Earlier, I made you a 60-year-old Chinese-Filipino businessman, and I'm your mistress. There was a long silence on the line, half a minute at least. Then he spoke slowly. So right now, I'm a 60-year-old Chinese businessman from the Philippines, and you're my mistress. You're mad, aren't you? I heard what sounded like a faint sigh. Ava Jiang, I'll see you tomorrow. You still want to register our marriage with me? I asked hesitantly. I was sure he'd been unhappy just now. Rest well today, he said. Tomorrow, wear your prettiest dress. It seemed Trent Tyndall had already prepared everything in advance, because the marriage registration process went unbelievably smoothly the next day. After we got the marriage certificate, he took me to the hospital. He held my hand the entire time, making us look like a deeply in love married couple to everyone around. His grandfather was gravely ill. The old man forced a faint smile at me, his eyes full of affection and relief. Guilt pricked my chest. Deceiving someone who was so close to the end of his life. He must really love his grandson, hoping he would have a happy marriage. But he had no idea I wasn't truly Trent's wife. After we left the hospital, Trent had an important meeting, so he asked his driver to take me back to the Jiang residence to collect my belongings. The driver was an old servant of the Tyndall family, someone who had watched Trent grow up. His hair was white, but his eyes still sharp. When he stepped out to open the car door for me, everyone in the Jiang family froze. No one spoke, but it was obvious what they were thinking, that he must be my sugar daddy. They looked down on me as someone's mistress, and didn't bother to even acknowledge me. I went upstairs to pack my things. Only my father said a few words. This is only temporary. Just move out for now, Ava. Once the trouble passes, we'll bring you home. I asked deliberately, sounding innocent and pitiful. How long do I have to wait? As long as it takes. It depends. Father, you promised, so you must keep your word. Yes, don't worry. But the moment I dragged my suitcase out the door, the entire Jiang household exhaled in relief. So obvious it was almost laughable. The driver took me to Trent Tyndall's private residence. The house wasn't large, but it was peaceful, elegant, with no swarms of servants or a grand estate staff like I had imagined. It made me feel strangely comfortable. Madam, the old driver said respectfully, Mr. Tyndall instructed that you may treat this house as your home. He will try to return tonight. But at 8 in the evening, I received a call from Trent. He said he had to return to the mainland for a very important meeting and wouldn't be back for about a week. If you get bored, go out with friends, shop, have tea, don't just stay cooped up at home. I thought for a moment. Then, maybe I should stay at my small apartment for a few days. It's closer to Central and more convenient. When you're back, you can come get me. All right. On the third day after Trent left for his business trip, an old friend of mine, someone who used to volunteer with me, appeared. She called to invite me to a small charity auction among the socialites. The theme interested me deeply, raising funds for children with congenital heart disease. When I arrived, several familiar faces were already there, including Kara Tan. Although she was dressed extravagantly as usual, her complexion was noticeably worse. It seemed getting thrown off the yacht that night had dealt her quite a blow. Kara also saw me. She curled her lips in a mocking smile and leaned into the person beside her to gossip. Is it true? She really became someone's mistress? Of course it's true. Her parents were so ashamed they publicly announced they were cutting ties with her. Haven't you read the news? I heard her sugar daddy is almost 80, old enough to be her grandfather. Oh my God. And someone like that gets invited to a charity event? Seriously? Right? We can't let her participate. Tell her to leave. The scene gradually turned chaotic. The socialite who had invited me looked visibly uncomfortable. Ava, maybe you should come next time. I didn't want to trouble anyone, so I stood up to leave on my own. But the moment I reached the door, I came face to face with Ethan Chu. Ava Jung? I didn't respond. I kept walking, but he grabbed my wrist. You came looking for me? I pulled back immediately. No, it has nothing to do with you. Today I heard, he started, then stepped in front of me, blocking my path. Ava Jang, return the money. Return it? Why? I couldn't help laughing coldly. Wasn't the 50 million something you demanded? Ava Jang. His face darkened, his voice sinking. I told you, as long as you humble yourself once. Humble myself how? I shoved him again. Get on my knees like a dog in front of you? Thank you for your generosity? I let out a laugh. It's ridiculous. No one knows that the great young Master Chu people worship is actually a man who enjoys crushing others with money and power. My life might not be worth much, but I refuse to kneel before him and be humiliated. Avajang, your reputation is ruined now, he warned coldly. You should think about the consequences. I'm still young, and you already threw yourself into being someone's mistress. Your reputation is destroyed for life. That's my choice, I said. I'm giving you a chance to step back, don't you understand? Unfortunately, I don't need it. I brushed past him and continued walking. Ethan's icy voice came from behind me. Ava Jiang, I'll give you one chance. If you come to your senses, come find me. I didn't look back. But that night, I received a call from my landlord. He ordered me to move out immediately. I didn't argue. I packed a few personal belongings and headed downstairs. To my surprise, the moment I stepped outside, Trent Tyndall's car was already waiting. The driver got out and took my luggage. Madam, Mr. Tyndall asked me to come pick you up. He's back already? He'll land early tomorrow morning. My nose burned with sudden emotion. He finished his work already? He said he would be gone a week, and it's only the 4th day. He was worried you might suffer unjustly. He couldn't relax. I'm fine. He has more important things to do. He shouldn't interrupt his work because of me. But I sat silently in the car, my heart in turmoil. It felt like the whole world had abandoned me. And yet, there was one person, a man as precious as a hidden treasure, standing firmly on my side. When I arrived at the villa, I had barely stepped into my room when my phone rang. Avajan? Trent's voice carried a trace of exhaustion. Guilt washed over me. To sever ties with the Zhang family, I had deliberately smeared my own reputation. Meanwhile, he was buried beneath countless responsibilities. I kept dragging him into one mess after another. If I had just stayed obediently at his home, none of this trouble would have happened. Trent Tyndall, I'm sorry. Ava Jung, his voice carried a helpless softness. I never blamed you. Let's talk more when I return tomorrow. After we hung up, I saw a friend request on WeChat from Trent. I accepted immediately. His page had only one post, made 3 days ago, a single photo, our marriage certificate. I couldn't see the comments, only 2 replies from him. Yes, we're married. And, let me introduce her, this is my wife, Ava Jing. That night, I also posted a status. Just 4 words, getting married soon. Many people commented congratulations, some even called. I answered, and it was Ethan Chu. So, you've come to your senses? He asked. I told you I'd give you a chance. I never said I'd actually marry you. I laughed. And I never said you were the groom. You're really going to marry that old man? Ava Jiang, have you no shame? You'd rather be some married old man's mistress than... I hung up before he could finish and blocked him. That night, my mind felt like a storm, heavy and tangled. I couldn't sleep. I only drifted off at dawn. I had no idea when Trent returned, but when I opened my eyes, someone was stepping out of the bathroom. I nearly screamed. My heart leapt out of my chest. It's me, Ava? You're Trent Tyndall? Don't be afraid. I clutched my chest, still feeling my heartbeat racing. My face must have been pale. Trent wrapped his arms around me, gently rubbing my back. Breathe slow, don't panic, relax. It's all right, Ava. I leaned against him, needing a long moment before my breathing steadied. Only then did I realize I was wearing a thin silk nightgown. And Trent, fresh out of the shower, wore only pajama pants. His upper body was completely bare. I'm fine now, I whispered, my face burning as I pulled away. Sorry for startling you. He reached out, smoothing my messy hair. Why did you sleep so long? I couldn't sleep well last night. My embarrassment grew. The nightgown was thin as a cicada's wing, and I had the habit of not wearing a bra to sleep. He had just held me firmly against him, only a whisper of fabric between us. My face felt like it was on fire. I grabbed the blanket, trying to hide myself, but somehow it only made things feel more awkward. Before I could figure out what to do, Trent gently pushed me back down onto the bed. Sleep a little longer. It's almost noon. We can eat lunch right after. He calmly tucked the blanket around me. I'll be in the study. I'll come get you later. Only after he left did I let out a small breath of relief. During the day, things were fine. He spent most of his time working in the study. But at 9 that night, when he came back to the master bedroom, he clearly didn't plan on leaving again. I had thought a lot about fulfilling marital obligations after getting married. After all, I was the one who promised I would cooperate fully. I watched Trent step out of the bathroom and hesitated for a long time before asking quietly, "Are you sleeping here tonight?" He looked at me briefly but didn't answer. My mind grew more chaotic. Maybe he only needed a wife in name. Maybe I was the one overthinking everything. Hugging my pillow, I asked timidly, "Then, should I sleep in the guest room?" He still didn't say anything. Hugging my pillow, I turned to walk away, but after only a few steps, he wrapped his arms around me from behind. "Didn't you say you'd cooperate with all my needs?" Trent? My back pressed into the firmness of his chest. I could clearly feel his heartbeat, steady, powerful. His body heat rose against me, so warm it made my mind go blank. He dipped his head, brushing aside the strands of hair near my neck. "Ava Jiang, you're my wife now." I leaned weakly against him, closing my eyes. My whole body softened as he lifted me and carried me to the bed. When he leaned down to kiss me, my fingers instinctively clenched around his arm. My heart pounded so fast I could barely breathe, and even the kiss broke apart because of it. "If you ever feel uncomfortable, tell me," Trent murmured as he stroked my burning cheek. Only when my heartbeat steadied did he continue. More than once, I thought I was about to lose my breath. But he always knew exactly when to stop. His body was tense, trembling faintly with each breath. Sweat from his forehead fell onto my chest, hot, just like his heartbeat, which was just as frantic as mine. I felt overwhelmed, but he seemed to be enduring even more. "Ava." His voice was hoarse as he kissed my cheek. "Feeling better?" I shook my head, then nodded, my eyes already blurred with tears. My arms wrapped around his neck, pushing him away and pulling him closer at the same time. His gaze deepened, filled with emotions I couldn't name. For a split second, I almost believed Trent Tyndall loved me. "Ava." He kissed me again, each movement less restrained than the last. At the final moment, I drifted out of consciousness for a few seconds. Not like the suffocating pain of my previous episodes, but as if I were floating through clouds, wrapped in warmth and tenderness. When he gently woke me, his voice soft, "Ava, does anything hurt?" I shook my head and silently hugged his waist. For a woman, the first man in her life is always someone she instinctively wants to lean on. He held me for a while before going to shower. His fingertips brushed lightly over my chest. "Your heart, does it feel tight at all?" "I'm fine." Thinking of how he stopped midway multiple times, I whispered, "Trent, did you feel uncomfortable too?" He chuckled and kissed me deeply. "If you keep asking, then yes, I really will feel uncomfortable. No, no more, I said quickly. All right, he replied, though he didn't move away. I just want to kiss my wife. I didn't answer, just let him kiss me. A sleepy thought drifted through my mind. Every time he called me Ava, his voice grew impossibly gentle. A man like him, disciplined, restrained, would only soften like that in bed. I never got the chance to test that theory, because early the next morning, Trent left the house before dawn. I knew his position meant endless responsibilities, big and small. So I didn't bother him. I stayed home quietly and made sure not to cause any more trouble. Even without going out, life moved peacefully, strangely gentle. For the first time in 21 years, I finally experienced what a calm, tender life felt like. No fear of being treated like a bargaining chip by my family. No heartbreak from parental favoritism. No worries at all, just doing whatever made me happy. I even dusted off my old piano, bought an online oil painting course, and began learning to paint. Life at home went on like that for nearly a week. Then one afternoon, Trent suddenly called. There's a banquet tonight. I want you to come with me. I've already prepared your gown and jewelry. A styling team will arrive soon. You're coming tonight? When I'm done with work, I'll head straight to you. Do I have to attend that banquet? It's a charity gala to raise funds for children with congenital heart disease, Trent said. I thought you'd want to go. My chest tightened with emotion. The last time, when Keratin spread malicious rumors about me, I missed a similar fundraiser for children with heart disease. I didn't know Trent still remembered. Since I was born with heart problems myself, I had always cared deeply about helping children like me. I still remembered that after getting engaged to Ethan Chu, I continued volunteering every month at the social care center, visiting sick and disabled children. But Ethan once mocked me coldly. You're really good at these publicity stunts. You must be used to acting pitiful by now. He never understood I never did it for show. Because I had lived through that kind of pain, I only wanted to spare those children from the same fate. Of course I want to go, Trent, I said softly. But if you show up tonight, then we won't be able to hide our marriage anymore. I wanted to ask, would it cause him trouble? Would it impact him badly? Ava, he said calmly. From the start, the only one who wanted to keep it secret was you. Never me. I gripped the phone tighter, my voice trembling in confusion. I don't understand. Why did you agree to marry me? Why never try to hide it? Why me? There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then he said gently, like wind brushing past, Come home tonight. I'll give you an answer. When I arrived at the venue, all eyes turned toward me. Curious, judgmental, scrutinizing, but something felt off. If Trent Tyndall was attending, this gala couldn't possibly be as small as it appeared. The Chu family had the qualifications to be here, but the Jiang family absolutely did not. Yet both Ethan Chu and the entire Jiang family were present. As soon as I stepped inside, I saw them crowding eagerly around Ethan. My half-sister, Jade Jiang, Tenmi Cho Jiang Lam, was staring at him with a mix of shyness and burning desire. Ava Jiang, you actually dared to show up here? Jade gasped dramatically. Immediately, Mrs. Jiang, elegant and polished, strode over with a cold face. Ava, do you even know where you are? You're embarrassing yourself. What will people think of the Jiang family? I looked at the woman dressed in grace and luxury, feeling nothing, not even anger. Didn't you already publish a statement cutting ties with me? The Jiang family and I no longer have anything to do with each other. Whatever embarrassment I cause won't affect you. But you still carry the Jiang name, she snapped. Everyone in Hong Kong knows you're my daughter. So what exactly do you want? I asked calmly. Ava Jiang, leave Hong Kong. Let that sugar daddy of yours take you abroad, or back to the Philippines, or wherever. I widened my eyes innocently. Didn't father say once the storm blows over, he'd bring me home? She looked at me like I was an idiot. What fantasy world are you living in? Your name has already been removed from the Jiang family registry. Really? Of course. So legally and by bloodline I have no connection to the Jiang family anymore? That's right. Good. I turned, raised my voice just enough, and said clearly, I'm sure everyone here heard Mrs. Jiang. There is absolutely no connection between me and the Jiang family anymore. Ava, you should leave. Jade said with faux graciousness. Mr. Chu is also here. Don't embarrass yourself further. At that moment, Ethan finally spoke. Avajang, didn't you say you were getting married? Someone nearby snickered mockingly. Yeah, to that old guy from the Philippines, right? With a whole family waiting for her at home. A mistress spread thin across the world. Who would ever actually marry someone like her? So that getting married soon post of hers the other day, just another lie? I was about to respond when Ethan Chu stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. Avajian, I'll ask you one more. He didn't finish. The entire hall suddenly fell silent. Mr. Trent is here. What? Mr. Trent attending such a small event? No idea, but we're absurdly lucky. Seeing him in person is rarer than seeing a star. Wait, why is he walking this way? Oh my god, he's looking right here. Hearing the whispers, Jay Jiang's face turned bright red, and even Mrs. Jiang couldn't hide her excitement. I turned and saw Trent Tyndall. The same black suit, the same solemn, untouchable expression. For a moment, I froze. The man I once only saw on news broadcasts and magazine covers was my husband now. He had kissed me countless times, called me Ava, held me gently, like a man who could truly be a good husband. Ava. His voice resonated, calm, deep, and warm. It was the first time he called me Ava in public. Not Ava John, but simply Ava, intimate, soft, filled with emotion. Jade's smile froze. Mrs. Zhang stared like she'd been struck dumb. Ethan Chu looked as if his soul had left his body. I pulled my wrist out of Ethan's grip with all my strength, my eyes stinging, hurt, but also deeply moved. Trent cut through the crowd, walking straight toward me. That dress suits you perfectly, he said gently. Your makeup looks beautiful too. You're stunning tonight. I felt as if I could both laugh and cry at the same time. My tears were about to fall when Trent opened his arms and pulled me into his embrace, in front of everyone. There, it's all right, he murmured. I was only a few minutes late, and someone already bullied you? At the word bullied, his expression turned cold. His gaze swept across the crowd sharply. Mrs. John's face drained of color. Jade instinctively stepped back, hiding behind her mother. Then Trent's eyes landed on Ethan Chu. Mr. Chu, he said evenly, what were you discussing with my wife just now? My wife. The two words exploded like a bomb in the middle of the banquet. The hall erupted into chaotic whispers. Ethan, stunned, stammered. Your wife? Yes, Trent said. Ava Zhang is my legal and rightful wife. The moment he finished, Mrs. Jiang snapped out of her daze and rushed toward me, pretending to be affectionate as she grabbed my hand. Ava, darling, why didn't you tell your mother something so important? I jerked her hand away. Mrs. Jiang, I am no longer part of the Jiang family. She flinched, then forced a gentle tone. What are you saying? I'm your mother. A little anger is normal. We're blood. We can clear any misunderstanding. I shook my head. There's nothing more to say. The Jiang family and I have no relationship. The family registry is proof. Mrs. Jiang began panicking, sweat pouring down her face as she turned desperately to Trent. Mr. Trent, you see? Ava is still childish, still mad at her mother. Please don't take her words seriously. I listened to my wife, Trent said calmly, wrapping an arm around me. His voice was cool as ice. Ava said she has no connection with the Jiang family anymore. That means she doesn't. Mr. Trent, Mrs. Jiang almost choked, terrified, but Trent spoke again, cutting off her last attempt to cling to me. Mrs. Jiang, as far as I know, in the past 10 years, the Jiang family has not donated a single cent to charity. The color drained from her face. Sweat streamed like rain. She opened her mouth but couldn't say a word. Not a single donation? Someone whispered. Then why do they attend every charity gala? What else? Borrowing the event's reputation, taking photos, pretending to be philanthropic, obviously. The murmurs rippled through the hall. Truly embarrassing. Shameless. The whispers stabbed through the hall like knives, cutting straight into what remained of the Jiang family's dignity. Mrs. Jiang stood frozen, unable to utter a word, before dragging Jade Jiang away, as both covered their faces in humiliation. Trent wrapped an arm around me and said softly, Ava, let's go home. I whispered back, but I haven't donated to the children yet. He lowered his head and pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead. I already asked my assistant to take care of it. Trent, my heart is starting to give out. Inside the silent room, waves of dizziness crashed over me. The familiar suffocating feeling tightened my chest. I grabbed onto his arm, gasping for air and turning my face away. Trent leaned down, resting his forehead lightly against mine. Ava, he murmured, voice low and steady. I could feel he wasn't doing well either, but my body refused to cooperate. "Trent," I choked out weakly, "why don't you marry someone healthy instead?" He lifted his eyes, serious, unflinching, deeper than I had ever seen before. "There's no shortage of healthy women in this world," he said, "but none of them are you." He brushed aside the damp strands of hair on my forehead. "To me, you're already the best." "Trent." My voice trembled. "If your body is weak, then we'll take care of it together. Heal together. If Hong Kong can't treat it, we'll go to Beijing, Shanghai, anywhere abroad." "And if it still doesn't get better," I whispered. He placed a soft kiss on my forehead. "Then I'll abstain. Cultivate self-discipline. Right time, right place, right duty." Just before Lunar New Year, Trent finally cleared his schedule, and we flew to Beijing to see the top cardiology specialists in the country. I was extremely nervous. "We'll do everything we can," Trent said as he gently fixed my hair. "The rest, we leave to fate. Go on, I'll wait for you outside." After all the tests, the elderly doctor with snowy white hair looked at me with regret. "You were born with a congenital heart defect," he said, "but not a severe one. If you had been operated on early, you would be perfectly healthy today." I stared at him, stunned, shaking my head repeatedly. "Doctor, are you sure? My family always said my condition was incurable. They took me to many hospitals, and the doctors all said the same thing." Eventually, I stopped visiting doctors altogether. I couldn't bear to hear my death sentence repeated over and over. They told me the only reason I survived this long was because they paid to care for me. When Trent pulled me into his arms, I realized my face was soaked in tears. "They lied to me," I whispered. "Why would they lie? Why treat me like that? If they didn't want to save me, they could have just let someone else raise me. Why lie to me for so many years?" "Ava," Trent murmured, holding my trembling body tightly, "don't think about them anymore. What matters is that now, you can recover. That's all that matters." "But I still don't understand." "You don't have to," he said firmly. "Some things don't deserve space in your heart. We move forward, never backward." Spring arrived, and the garden outside blossomed with life. Trent came to take me back to Hong Kong. I had been discharged safely, and my recovery was progressing well. A few days earlier, his grandfather had fallen critically ill, so Trent rushed home. Only after the old man escaped danger did Trent return to pick me up. It had been half a month since we last saw each other. But when I stepped out of the car, he didn't walk toward me. Because we had made a promise, next time we meet, I'll run to him like any healthy girl would. He opened his arms. I gathered my dress and sprinted across the green lawn, through the blooming garden, beneath the soft spring breeze. For the first time in 21 years, I could truly run. The spring wind was cool, but somehow unbelievably gentle. I threw myself into his arms and tilted my face up to kiss him, but he was too tall. I rose on my toes, but he bent down first, meeting me halfway. We had been married for nearly a year, but that night was the first time I ever saw him truly let go. He kissed the scar on my chest, the surgical scar, still obvious and anything but pretty. I didn't want him to see it. I lifted my hand to cover it, but he gently moved my hand aside. "Is it ugly?" I asked in a tiny voice. "Still as beautiful as that night," he murmured. "So, you noticed me from the very beginning?" "Not from the beginning, earlier than you think." "When?" I blinked. "Don't tell me you saw me before that night?" "Ava Jang," he lowered his voice. "Are you sure you want to have a long, emotional conversation with your husband right now?" He tightened his hold on my hands and leaned down. "Trent." "I'm dizzy, I can't breathe," I whispered the little trick I used before. He clearly didn't believe me, but because I said it, he still stopped. My heart was pounding wildly, but it wasn't the painful tightening from before. All I felt was a sweetness I couldn't control. I wrapped my arms around him and lightly bit his chin. "From now on, you don't need to hold back because of my health," I whispered. "Do whatever you want." I had seen him giving formal speeches at the Bay Area summits. I had seen him lead international meetings, speaking flawless English, French, and Cantonese. I had seen him at home, relaxed and warm enough that even the staff dared to joke with him. But the moment he stopped smiling, the entire room fell silent. And right now, in his eyes was desire, raw, fierce, possessive. He let himself sink into me completely, dragged with me into the mortal world as we drowned in that long, breathless night. He even lost control more than I did. I used to wonder why my own blood relatives treated me the way they did. Later, I realized 21 years of suffering existed only so I could meet Trent Tyndall. "Trent," I whispered, "were you? Was that your first time?" I didn't even finish the sentence before he seemed to read my mind. He bent down and kissed the shell of my ear, voice low and impossibly seductive. "Ava Jiang, I like you, very much." Trent Tyndall, POV. My name is Trent Tyndall. If anyone asked me the most unexpected moment of my life, it would be that night, when I stepped onto the ship's deck 1 minute earlier than planned. Just 1 minute. Enough to see a girl collapsing, her chest tightening, her lips pale, her fingers desperately clawing at the zipper on the back of her dress. Her eyes, panicked, hopeless, beautiful enough to steal breath. I crouched down. I didn't know her, but one doesn't need to know someone to save their life. Her skin was icy cold. When she looked up at me, it felt like she was clinging to the last thread of her existence. And in that moment I knew I couldn't walk away. My name is Trent Tyndall, heir of the Tyndall family. A man people call wealthy, powerful, born to rule. But all my life, I never felt I lacked a woman beside me. My world was neat, organized, and predictable. Every step arranged, every plan with an exit, until Ava Jiang appeared once and everything collapsed. She rushed into my life without hesitation, saying she wanted a deal. $50 million in exchange for a marriage with no trouble, no obligations, no long-term commitments. I agreed, thinking I was the one in control. I was wrong. Later, I was the one unwilling to end it. She was too calm. She signed the marriage papers without hesitation. She met my family with a gentle smile, as if nothing strange was happening. Even after our first night together, she simply rested her head on my arm, without asking a single question. I never expected anything from her. At first, I thought she was simply too smart, aware that our relationship was basically an unspoken contract. But gradually I understood. It wasn't that she had no expectations. She just didn't dare to hope. She had been hurt for too long, too deeply. When someone becomes used to being abandoned, they stop reaching out for anything at all. I still remember the night before we went public at the charity gala. She was terrified. Even if she didn't say it, I could see it. In her eyes were 1,000 old wounds screaming silently. I held her hand and asked why she wanted to hide. She gave me a small, quiet smile. "I'm afraid I'll cause trouble for you." In that moment, I decided I would never hide anything again. I never imagined I would marry someone after just one night of meeting her. I never imagined that one day I'd stand in the center of a grand hall and declare publicly, in front of all Hong Kong, that Ava Jiang is my legal and rightful wife. I knew more about her than she realized. I knew she volunteered with children who had heart conditions. I knew she'd once almost died from a heart attack, with no one there to help. I knew her family treated her like a profitable bargaining chip, but I never said anything about it, because she was too used to being hurt. Any sign of pity would only wound her further. I just wanted to stand behind her, quietly, as a wall she could lean on. So she would look forward and know that no matter what happened, someone would always be there behind her. After her surgery, I returned to Hong Kong a week earlier than she knew. I said it was for family business, but truthfully, it was because I wanted to prepare a surprise for her. A new house. Architectural sketches tailored for her. Furniture chosen according to her taste. The garden planted with the flowers she once mentioned in a dream. A piano, easels, paints, everything delivered and arranged. I wanted her to have a real home when she returned. Not a temporary shelter, not a place to hide from the past, but a place to begin a future. She once asked me, "Why me?" I didn't answer, because if I said it too soon, I feared she wouldn't believe me. She didn't know that while she still thought everything was just a transaction, I had already started falling for her. The truth was, I had seen her long before that night. The first time was during a charity event for a special needs children's center. She wore a simple white t-shirt, her hair tied up, helping a little girl with congenital heart disease put on a jacket. The child was crying from the pain, and she whispered softly, "It's okay. I'm right here. No matter how much it hurts, it will pass." I still remember that sentence clearly. I watched her for a long time. Then I walked away, but I couldn't get her out of my mind. I started looking into her. Found out she was the youngest daughter of the Zhang family. Found out her engagement was a political transaction. found out her heart was fragile, and that her family treated her like an expensive burden. I wanted to intervene, but I had no reason to. Until fate placed her in my arms that night. She said, "I need 50 million. And I opened my wallet without a second thought. I once thought that if I protected her, supported her, she would eventually understand how I felt. But Ava Jiang is stubborn. She knew she owed me, so every look, every gesture carried a quiet, guarded restraint. I hated that I couldn't erase her past, couldn't wipe away the wounds carved into her over the years. But I also understood. Only time could teach her that she deserved to be loved. The night she asked me, "Trent, do you like me?" I didn't answer. I simply kissed her ear and whispered, "Ava Jiang, I like you very much." Not out of pity, not out of responsibility, not out of a transaction. Now, every morning when I wake up and see her sleeping beside me, eyes lightly closed, chest rising steadily, her hand still resting on mine, I think, if this is a dream, then please, let me never wake up. If every day could be like this, I would gladly spend my whole life for it. People say men at the top are heartless, but to me, the entire world means nothing compared to hearing her say, "Trent Tyndall, I like you too. Ava Jiang, I will never let go."